Hey everyone, my name is Brett. I am part of the LearnWorlds customer success team, and I will be your host today. In today's session, we're going to be taking a close look at the LearnWorlds Site Builder. It is a fantastic tool that is built directly into the platform, which allows us to create very robust, very modern looking websites without having to know any web development whatsoever. Your website is extremely important when it comes to online schools. It is the storefront for your school. It helps you engage with your users. It helps you generate leads. It helps you drive attendance into specific courses. So tonight we'll be taking a close look at that site builder, diving into all the different features that are available to you, talking a little bit about how to set up SEO on your page, how to develop pages, how to manage things like sales funnels and pop-ups in the system. And so we'll be diving deep into that today. While we wait for everyone to join, feel free to share some additional information about yourself. It would be really great to know if you're already a customer of LearnWorlds or you're a potential customer. And you can let us know in the chat. It'd really be helpful for us to understand, who's making up our audience. This webinar does come with a live chat option, so please feel free to ask questions throughout the entire webinar. You'll receive answers in real time from our experienced support staff. And before we begin, I'm going to go ahead and share a short poll as well to get to know you a little bit better. I'd really appreciate it if you spend some time on that, answering those questions while I share some additional information on who LearnWorlds is and what we're all about. So for those of you who do not know LearnWorlds, we launched in 2014. We serve thousands of customers worldwide, including some of the best course creators, coaches, consultants, and training organizations in their respective industries. LearnWorlds offers an all-in-one solution for the creation, selling, and promoting of your online courses. And it's easy to use, intuitive, and you can start monetizing your experience and skills without even having to know a single line of coding. Okay. By the way, we do offer a free trial of LearnWorlds, so you can actually access that by coming to our website, navigating over here to get started for free. If you click on that there, it will open up a little form here. You just need to fill in your email, the name of your school, and you click start for 30 days. You don't need any financial information, no credit card required. You get 30 days to try out the platform, build a school, do whatever you want with it. And after that 30 days, if you do want to go ahead and continue with whatever you built, you just buy a paid license and you can move on from there. So you don't lose anything that you've developed within that 30-day time frame. So if we were going to get started tonight, I just wanted to show you really quick the power of this site builder. This is actually a page that was developed in the site builder. It took me literally 1 second to set up. I'm actually utilizing one of the templates for this fake fitness school that we have put together here. But you can see how good and modern these websites look. It's like I said, simply just by picking a template. And again, you can change these in any way. You can change text, you can change images. And it's not just the homepage that we see here. It is pages like the community, the courses page, the about page, different pages that I would give my users access to that are automatically created simply just by picking a template in the platform. So if we go into the back end of the platform and really where we're going to be spending, I would say, the rest of this probably presentation today, we are going to start by coming over to the admin menu here, coming to the site builder and clicking on that. It will open up the menu that you see here in front of me. The edit school button here will go ahead and enter into the actual editor here. And what I want to show you with, or kind of get started here, is just how this is actually used to navigate your particular site that you're building. So over here on the left-hand side, you will find a button here that says Pages. This is going to showcase all the pages that have been built in your school. You can actually see which pages are published and which ones are in draft by the color that is located here. And you can utilize this page manager to preview the pages, clone pages, and even delete pages. So if you are looking to go edit something like the About page, I can click here, open up that About page, and start my editing. So it's very easy for you to kind of navigate around the school. Pages, by the way, can be set up into different categories so that you can easily find the pages that you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for your external pages or potentially looking to edit in your policy pages. Those are all kind of grouped together for you already right off the start. Okay, so it's very easy to use in that nature to get started. You're going to be picking a template. You're going to be diving in there and making your changes and working from there. Now, the next thing I kind of want to show you here, if we jump out of the actual editor here, I just wanted to touch on this because I did mention templates. And I feel like if I don't show this to you, you might not quite understand what I'm talking about. Site flavors is a functionality that is available on the platform that does allow you to work within different versions of your website. So you can actually see here on the left, I have my live website here, where on the right, I have a completely different version of that site that I can actually jump into the editor and work on without affecting my live site. So I can actually clone my current site if I wanted to clone it. I can make changes there, and I can pick new templates to work with. So if you did pick a template at the beginning and you weren't really sure what you were doing and you want to try out some different templates, you can come down here to site flavors. You can choose a different flavor by clicking new site flavor and choosing from all the different templates that are available. So LearnWorlds works a lot in templates, and you're going to see this tonight a lot when we get into the actual site builder, right? You'll see that we have a number of templates to work with in terms of site design. So all of these have been designed for specific industries that we have worked with in the past. These are, again, just templates. They're starting points for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you select something, you have to stay with whatever was selected in terms of design and coloring and things of that nature. These are really just starting points for you to select from. And there's no one saying that, if you're in healthcare, that you can't find something here under customer education that you like better, and you can utilize that template. If you'd like a template from customer education, go ahead and select that template. Again, these are starting points for you. So whatever you like and you feel comfortable using, you can go ahead and select that. So once you've made your selection in terms of template, the next thing we're going to do is look at our theme explorer, which can be found here actually in the menu there, or if we go into the design area of the actual editor, you can find that up here as well. Clicking on the Theme Explorer is going to open up the Theme Explorer on the left and allow us to view a page that we're viewing over here on the right. Okay. The Theme Explorer is essentially the command center when it comes to design for the platform. This is where we're going to be setting the colors for the school. It's where we're going to be setting up the font combinations that we'll be utilizing throughout the school. It's also where we can kind of change the look and the feel of the site using our layout section here. So the first tab that you see here is actually something that is pre-made color schemes. It is pre-made font combinations so that you can quickly make changes to the site and see if it's something you might potentially like. There is a lot of different ways to customize, and we'll go into that in just a little bit here. But just to show you the power of this and how easy it is for you to try out different, different versions or different colors of the site. When we click here, what it will do is go ahead and update the site colors that you see here, and not just on the page that we're viewing here on the right, but actually as a whole. So when I click on this, the entire site theme that we had selected is actually updating to these new color sets. The same thing goes for these font combinations. If you want to try out some different font combinations, you're just going to have to click. And when you do, you can see that the font on this page will update, and it updates again across the entire site for you. So you don't have to go page from page and make those changes. It's automatically going to make those changes for you. So you don't have to spend all that time going to each and every one of those pages and changing the text. Layout is just going to allow you to change the look and the feel of the layout. So if you really want to expand out, the spacing between objects, or you want to go for more of a micro feel, you can go ahead and change that layout size as well. Now, when it comes to customization, we do have the colors tab here, and this is where you can actually start to customize the colors for your site. You can see here we have our brand colors, we have background colors, and we have text colors to choose from. So when we have made a selection on the colors that we want to use, we can simply come to this page here to customize those further. So if we want to go ahead and actually change the brand colors, we're going to click on one of these boxes, which is going to go ahead and open a color palette for us. Now, this color palette can be used to either slide to new colors or try out additional colors here. You can also increase transparency or decrease transparency of a color. You'll notice that we have the option for hexa and RGBA codes as well. So if you are trying to match a specific color that you're already using, maybe you have a color that you're using in your brand already, and you want to make sure that you're copying that, you can actually grab the hexa code or the RGBA code, and you can enter that in here and copy that completely. And you can also use the color palette down here at the bottom. Now, you will notice that when I do make a selection for this box, it does get placed here in this little VIP area that you see here. These are actually going to be the colors that you're selecting for your color scheme. Okay, so you'll notice that each one of these boxes that you see here actually represents one of those colors. So if I come through this and I make a bunch of changes, you'll see each of those is represented here in this little VIP area. Now, my recommendation for anyone that is doing site design or developing, across the website editor here, is to stick with the colors that you've selected in the Theme Explorer and utilize the colors that you have built here in your color scheme. And there's two reasons for that. One is for branding purposes. When you are selecting these colors, you are putting together a brand for your website. Those colors represent your brand when a user visits your website. So you want to make sure that all of the pages that you are creating utilize those exact same colors. If you go to a website such as like Coca-Cola.com, we all know Coke's colors are red, white, and black. And so is their website. Their website actually utilizes a lot of those colors across the entire website. So you want to replicate this with your school. You're building a brand, you're building a color scheme, and you want to keep that replicated. The second reason you want to do this is to make it much easier for you in the long run if you want to make a change across the entire site without having to go from page to page. So when I'm in the editor out here, I have the option to click on any of these items or elements and change the color. So I could pick from here, or I could pick, use the sliders here or any of that. But again, I'm recommending you stay in here. And one of the main reasons is this. If I'm in that Theme Explorer and I decide that, I don't like this color here and I want to change this, or maybe I don't like this white color here and I want to change this. If I change that here, anywhere that white color is used is going to automatically update for me on the entire site, as opposed from me having to go to each and every one of the pages that I selected a random color on certain things and change that manually. So this just makes mass changing of colors across your site much easier as well. Just go ahead and discard my changes there. I'll go back into that Theme Explorer. Next, we have typography. Typography allows us to select the fonts and the font sizes that we're going to be working with on our website. And actually, when it comes to website typography, it's actually recommended less is more. So when you are building a website, they recommend no more than 2 different types of fonts across the entire site. Now, that does not mean that you are locked into 2 different types of font. Yes, we do have a heading font and we do have main text fonts. We also offer the ability to add additional fonts if you need to. So you can actually come in here, click, and add those fonts into the font families that you're working with. So there is a long list of fonts to select from. And if you're already working with a font set that you do not see here, you can actually upload that here using any of these file types. So you can actually add that font into the system so that you can actually take advantage of that and add that into your website. You can also modify the size of the different font types from here. So if you do want to reduce pixel size on your heading 1 or heading 2, this will automatically do that, and it will automatically do it anywhere an H2 is used across your site or an H1 is used across your site. Again, this is to keep things consistent on all of your pages. When you do make a selection in terms of the fonts that you'll be using, anytime you click on a text box, you'll notice that you can actually switch between the fonts that you have selected. So once you set everything up in your designer here, not only are we picking the colors that we've selected here and from the typography that we've put together, we can even affect the same size and the shape of the buttons that we're selecting. So any of these buttons, you can add additional padding to them. You can add different fonts to them. You can change the bold interface, the weight of them. If you want, you can even round your buttons out. So if you do want to add something like border radius to your buttons, this will actually add a nice little circular radius around that button by increasing the size of that border radius. Now, if you are looking to keep a little squared, but maybe just have a slight border or slight rounded areas, you can also do the same. You do want to try to keep your buttons looking the same as well. And that's really the point of having them here in this Theme Explorer, because believe it or not, these are actually part of your brand as well, right? So you want to keep things consistent and the same on all of your pages so your users feel like they are on the same website when they do visit you. The next thing I want to kind of point out and just take a quick look at before we dive into the pages here and what we can do with the page editor, I'm just going to pop back out into our main site builder menu here and just mention a couple things down here at the bottom. So one thing that I do want to mention here is the domain name and the sign-in settings here. So domain, for many of us, we're trying to set up white labeled schools, right? And so I have this question a lot, how do I change the domain name? Because when you do sign up for LearnWorlds, you do get this learnworlds.com or .mylearnworlds.com domain name. We actually allow you to change this, and you can do this by setting up a CNAME DNS record. Okay, with your hosting provider. So if you go to a hosting provider like GoDaddy.com and you purchase a specific domain name from that hosting provider, you can actually set up the CNAME DNS record from GoDaddy. In fact, there are really nice, easy to follow directions that can be taken advantage of that are located here for you. There's even a nice little YouTube video in here that will walk you through that process. So if you do get stumped in setting this up, it's very easy to utilize this. By the way, our support team is fantastic in helping users out with this as well. So if you do get really stumped, you can always reach out to our support team here and ask the question for help if you need it. But once you have that domain name set up and that CNAME DNS record set, you can actually pop your domain name in here, click change domain name, and it will automatically update that for you. The other area I just wanted to point out too, before we got into the actual editor and really dove into that, is the sign in and sign up settings. Okay, this is where we can configure how users are going to be joining your school. Okay, some schools are shut off. They don't want users just randomly signing up, and other schools are open to the public. So we do have a bunch of different options available for you that you can set to help kind of control this. One of those options is email verification. If you do want your users to verify their emails once they sign up, you can actually turn this on. They'll get an email basically asking them to verify before they're able to access the platform. You can also force logouts if you do want to force a logout after a specific amount of idle time. So that's also an option for you. And then here under this LearnWorlds tab, this is where we can really configure the sign-up process. So you can actually disable the process as a whole then just allow your admins to log in. So this is really good if you're just building the school and you don't want users accessing it. Or you can actually allow anyone to sign up, or you can shut down the sign-up process and manually add users. It's really based off of your business model. But you'll see that there are, as you scroll down here, also fields that can be configured. We're always going to require a name, email, and password. That is what's required to actually register to your school or sign up. However, if you do want to add additional fields, you can actually come down here and click add field, and you can name the field, make it active. You can make it required if you'd like. And then there's a couple different field types that you can actually place in here. So when a user does sign up, they'll be required to fill out any of the fields that you have made required. You can even make your terms and conditions required here so that when a user signs up, they have to review those before they're able to actually access the platform. Okay. By the way, another thing I wanted to point out here is reCAPTCHA. So for those of you who want to put a layer of protection against bots, reCAPTCHA is also an option. So you can integrate with reCAPTCHA. You can activate that here. And so when a user does sign up, they are going to have to go through the reCAPTCHA just to ensure that there's no bots signing up to your school. So there's a lot of options in terms of sign up. Navigation we'll talk about in just a little bit, but I did want to point that out before we actually jumped into what a page is, how we can create it, and how we can manage those pages in the platform. So jumping back into our editor here, I have now jumped into the editor. You can see, again, I have the pages over here on the left. And by the way, if you need to close this out, you can click here. It will close it out. If you just want to pin it to the side while you are editing, you can click on this little pin here, and it will keep your site centered, but it will allow that menu to be popped out at the same time. When it comes to creating a page in the platform, pretty simple. We are actually going to come here. We're going to click this little plus button, and it will open up a page creation part. Now, you'll notice that you can create blank pages if you want, or again, just like everything else, we have templates that have been designed that you can select from. So if you are building a landing page, and you want to utilize one of the templates, you can. If you're building a courses page and you want to utilize some of the templates that we built for courses pages, you can do this. Same thing with about and contact us. Really, it just kind of helps you build these courses quicker if you're looking to use a template. If not, you can build things from scratch by clicking this blank area here. Once you have selected what you want, you're going to give it a name. You're going to give it a URL. So that would be your school name / pages / whatever your URL is. You can group that so that it will stay grouped over here on the left to make it easier to find. You can even find the existing groups that you already have created here. So you can simply add those in when you are looking for that particular page. And of course, you can make that draft or public. So if you're building it, I would suggest keeping it in draft mode. And when you're ready to launch that particular page, you can go public with it. It's very easy to create new pages in this. So what is a page in LearnWorlds? Let's talk about this a little bit. How do we manage pages? What makes up a page? How do we start designing web pages in our school? Pages are actually made up of 3 pieces in LearnWorlds. They're made up of a top bar. They're made up of sections that we see here in the middle. And then there is all the way at the bottom, a little footer page here, or a little footer section, I should say. So if you think of that like a sandwich, you have your top bar, your footer, and then all the really nice, thing that makes up the site or the meat of the sandwich in the middle here. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. So you have top bar, footer, and sections. Okay, so if we start today by taking a look at the top bar, I'm going to go over here and hover over that top bar now and click Edit School Top Bar. That will actually open up 2 different menus that we see here. So on the left-hand side, you see a menu here, and then you'll see a menu over here on the right. The menu on the right is your properties menu, and we're going to see this a lot. Pretty much every element that we click on the web page is going to open up this properties menu. And that's because it's going to be directly related to whatever you've clicked on, whether it's a section or the top bar or a button or an image. That property menu is always going to open up. But the menu over here on the left, this one's unique to the top bar. This actually allows us to choose between a top bar for users that are signed in and users that are signed out. And this is mainly because based on whether or not a user is signed into your platform, you might want to offer different navigation points. So as an example, somebody who is signed in might have access to your community and the other applications that you're hosting on your platform. Whereas somebody who is signed out may only have access to your courses, your about page, and then of course the sign in and sign up buttons. So it's really here so that you can kind of choose what navigation points those users will see. Now over here on the right-hand side, you will see in the property menu that you do have the option to modify the layout of that top bar. You can see if we click here, it will give us a couple different templates to use. Now, all the stuff that you see here can be modified. We can add our logos in there, and we can change the text, and we can change the social area here. But I did, again, just want to show you, you do have a number of different layouts that you can choose from when it comes to setting up this top bar here. By the way, you can also turn on this stick on scroll option. Stick on scroll will allow that top bar to follow the user down the page as they scroll down, whereas turning this off will keep the top bar at the top of the page. Clicking on the navigation widget that we see here, this will actually open up the property menu for this navigation widget. And you'll see here all of the different links that we are offering to these users here, okay? These can be reordered by simply dragging and dropping. So if you do want to change the order that these links are displayed in, you can simply just drag and drop them that way. And these links can be edited. So if you want to change any of the text, you can just type in the new text there and it will automatically update that there in the top bar. So this allows us to actually set the navigation points that we want to include in there. The little plus button that you see here is actually going to create a submenu. So where we have the courses here now, there's actually a drop down with different links available to us. Okay, so we can create little submenus if we want. We can also add additional menu items by clicking this little plus button. So you can see that actually adds additional menu items here. So you can add as many of those little links that you want at the top. I wouldn't get too crazy with links in navigation because the more you have up there, the noisier it gets and a little bit more difficult to kind of navigate around. I usually save that top bar for kind of the really important navigation points in the school. The little trash can that you see here, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. If you click that, it is going to go ahead and delete that particular link for you. So you can actually just remove anything that you don't want. And then this little pencil here is actually what you're going to be utilizing to set up the on-click action. So what is an on-click action? An on-click action will allow you to actually choose where this link is going to direct users when they click on it. So if I click on this particular link, where am I going? It could be a page. It could be a course in your school. It could be an activity that you built in a course. It could be a bundle page or a subscription page, a blog post, one of your sales funnels. It could be a URL outside of the school, or it could open up a pop-up or send an email. So you have a lot of options in terms of what this link can actually do. If you want to just go to another page or a course, you select that option, you choose the course, and then you go ahead and choose, where they're going to land in that course. You have some different design options here as well, too. If you want to make some things stand out, you can make them stand out by changing the design there, but it's really up to you. And then you click done, right? So that's going to add that in there now so that users can actually click on that and go and access my course from there. So it's very easy to set up these navigation bars when you're ready. Now, for the most part, your top bars is going to be set to a common top bar on all of your pages. So that means you really only have to design this once, and it will be kind of replicated across all the pages in your school. I'm not going to spend too much time on the footer, but I do want to point it out here. The footer down here at the bottom works just like the header. If you click here, it's going to open up the footer options here. On the right, you have your layout options as well. So you can actually click here and select between these. Now, the footer does not have a signed in, signed out option. So whatever you place in the footer, both users who are signed in and signed out should be able to see them. Again, you have your layout options here. The one main difference between this footer and the top bar is that this does not have a navigation widget like we see in the top bar. What this utilizes here is actually text boxes. So the main difference that I want to point out here is that when you are setting up the links in your footer, it's going to operate a little bit differently. When you click on a text box, you don't get the link options here that you did with that top bar. So what you'll need to do is actually navigate over here to the Actions tab, and we'll be explaining these in a little bit further in today's webinar. But you navigate over here to the Actions tab, and then you'll choose your on-click action from here. So this is where you can choose, okay, if they click there, it's going to go to a page, and it's going to go to my home page. Okay, so it's very easy to set these up as well. And just like the top bar, the footer has a common version. So once you design that footer once, you won't need to design it on every page of your school. Now, this brings us to the main course, or the main part of that sandwich, and that is sections. So what is a section? A section is like a building block. And we can take these blocks and we can stack them on top of each other to build the page that we want to create. Now, yes, there are sections already populated in here because I chose a template, right? But these sections can be modified. They can be changed. They can be reordered, right? If I click on a section, I can actually use the arrow keys that you see in the property menu here to move that section up and down the page. So I can click here, I can move it up. I can click here, I can move it down. So I can reorder the sections, right? Like blocks. I can also copy that section, and I can go to another page in my page manager, and I can paste that section directly into that page. So if I came here to this section here and I go click and I say, you know what, I want to paste, there's the section we just copied in the home page. So you can actually copy and paste not only sections, but different elements. And you'll see that as we go through this today. So sections are very interchangeable. They're very easy to reorder. They're very easy to set up, even if we're just using the ones that were available to us in the template. Now, like blocks, sections all have I would say, a meaning behind them, right? A reason that that particular section was created. And so you'll see this when we show you how to add a section. There's actually an entire library that you can click from. But I wanted to showcase this before we got into that. In the upper left-hand corner of all of the sections on your site, there's a little black layout button. And if you hover over that, it's going to open up all of the different templates that are available for that section type. So you can actually click on any of these and change the template that is there for you. So even if you picked a site template and you were designing a page and you wanted to make a change to that particular section, you can simply do that by choosing a different template that has already been designed for you and then modifying the elements within that template. So it's very easy for you to redesign what has already been designed for you. And you can do this on any of them, right? So they all have a number of templates that have been designed, and it's very easy for me to kind of click through these and try out different templates. Now, if I remember which one it was, I don't remember which one it was. You can even go back to your original template, and everything that was already designed and added into that is still going to be there. You're not going to lose out. You're not going to lose out on anything. Even if you're trying out different templates, you're not going to lose out on any of the content or what you have already designed. It's going to automatically come back when you reselect that template. This is why we call these magic templates. It makes it very easy for you to switch blocks in and out. But let's talk about adding pages too. By the way, sections, maybe you don't like certain sections, you can actually remove these too. Just simply delete. It will take it right out of the equation. But you can also add sections. And adding sections is pretty easy. Anywhere you hover over this little blue button here or green button, clicking that will open up the library. So there are a ton of section types listed out on the left, and every one of the templates that has already been pre-designed for you that you can utilize and make your own. So we have hero sections for the top of your page. We have product sections to showcase all of your courses with filters and search bars. We have media and text sections to showcase different, different parts of your platform and to show, columns and things of that nature. Payments. Maybe you want to have a payment section right on your page, or maybe you want to embed some code. Maybe you're using an external platform that can be embedded that you want to embed directly into the page. Event calendars to showcase your live activities. FAQs, you can create FAQs in your page very easily. Forms, you can actually take forms that you've built in platform. We have a form builder, and you can actually import those forms directly into your pages. So if you're collecting, information on leads, I think I have a lead one in here. There you go. Collecting information and collect leads, you can import those right in. You can do things like parallax effects. These are pre-made parallax sections. And if you don't know what a parallax scrolling is, let's take a look at one right now. I can actually showcase this. I believe I can demo it. Let's see. Can I demo this? I will save and preview it for you. So if you click the preview button here, and we start to scroll down the page here, there's my parallax section. You'll see as I am scrolling, those images are moving. It creates a nice level of depth on your page. It creates action. If I scroll back up, they'll separate. If I scroll back down, they go closer together, but it makes it very visual. So there's a lot of this kind of stuff that can be added directly into your platform as well. By the way, you can also add these into other sections that you want as like the background, and I'll showcase that in a second. In fact, let me just discard the changes I've made here. Oh, I saved, didn't I? Never mind. Won't be discarding anything. I can fix that later. So it's very easy to kind of add this sort of stuff in. It's very easy to remove things if you don't want them. All right, I can come in here and delete that, and I can delete that and take those right out. And I could even change this back to, one of the original templates that were in here. So again, to make things very easy for me. Now, sections, if you look here, are actually made up of columns. So you'll see that this section here is actually made up of a larger column on the left and a little bit smaller one on the right. This one has 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so these columns, 1, 2, 3, are what make up your sections. So if we look at it this way, we have page, We have sections that make up the page. Then we have columns that make up the sections. So additional columns can be added in if you'd like. Now the page is reactive. So based off of the device that is viewing this, those columns are either going to get smaller or they're going to get bigger based off of the device that is viewing it. So as an example, if we were to look at our site from the mobile phone, you'll see that the column I just added is very small and they're stacked on top of each other. Whereas if I go back to that desktop, it's right here, right? So those columns are going to readjust based off of the device that is viewing it. You can edit some things, and we'll talk about this in a second here. Like you can change the size of these layouts to make them wider if you want. That is an option for you. But I wanted to just kind of showcase that. So really what we're doing is we're adding columns into sections and we're populating those columns. In fact, you can even build sections yourself. You don't necessarily have to use the sections that we've got built here, like the sliders or the tabs or anything like that. You can actually build your own. If you click on this build your own area, it will show you a column layout that you can select from. So I could do something like this. I'm going to choose a column that stretches across the entire thing. And then I'm actually going to click this little plus button, which we'll talk about in a second. And I'm going to add additional columns below that. So now I have a skeleton of what a section could be if I'm building it from scratch. The next thing we need to do is once we have the columns kind of built into the sections, we need to start thinking about widgets and elements, right? So what is a widget? I have add widget here. And when I click this little plus button here, that also adds a widget. Anywhere you see that, right? A widget is anything from text to accordions, to animations, to download buttons, to sound files, to buttons, to columns, downloadable applications, embedded areas. These are all widgets that I can select from, right? And when I do select those, it's going to add that right in. So in this case, might have a heading, right? We could have a heading text here. We place it at the top, and then over here, I might place something like a screen, which is a video or an image, okay? So we'll drop a screen in there. And then over here on the right, I could do something like a slider. Right, so I can have a little slider over here on the right that will change images when the user clicks on the buttons, right? So I can easily build out these really nice looking pages. But how do I take this from just kind of blah to like the next level? Like, how do I make this look beautiful for my website? That is through properties, okay? So every element that you select has properties, okay? Even a page has properties, which we'll talk about in a second. But every element you select has properties, okay? When you select it, you'll see that that property menu on the right, the first tab over there will actually change to whatever you've selected, right? Text, screen, slider, section, column. So whatever I select, that is automatically going to update that first tab. And that first tab actually contains all the properties that I can modify for this element. So with text, I can change what it says, right? I could do boxing 101, right? I can also, edit any of the text content here. I can change the size of that text. I can change the properties, opacity. I can even add shadow. I don't know if I would do black on black shadowing, but you know what I mean. So you can add shadow there. So those are the properties for text. Now for a screen, I can add, an image in here. Let's grab a boxing image to drop in there from my library. So I've now added an image in here on the left. And then I can also do things like this. Maybe I want to have that display on an iPad or a screen, right? And I can change that to full, large, small, so I can shrink that if I want to. I have properties that can change the image itself. I want to make it centered or repeated or stretched. I can add things like overlays and screen captions. I want to add a caption to that. So I have a lot of options for this kind of stuff. And now if I chose a video instead of a image there, I can also add a video in there. And if I do that, you'll see that there are properties that will affect that video. So again, everything that you see here in this first tab is going to be related to what you have selected. So with sections, as an example, I talked about parallax scrolling earlier. With sections, I can do things like, instead of just having a blank color back there, right? I might want to go ahead and add an image to the background or video back there. And I can, take our boxing image, for instance, right? Looks really nice, but again, it kind of drowns out some of the text and things that I have there. So what I could do, again, is add that overlay, which is a layer of color that can be added to images or videos, and I can increase opacity so that image is slightly visible. And then I can actually add some of those parallax effects that we talked about. So if I go ahead and do something like fixed, you'll see as I'm scrolling, the image in the background does not scroll, but the stuff in the foreground does. All right, so I can easily create these really nice add text in there if I want. Maybe down here, I want to have like a button. All right, even buttons have properties that I can affect. If I click on a button, I might do something like go full width with that button. I might change that, add an icon on that button. I might do, changes to the actions there. For the text up here at the top, I could select the column and I could center that. Right? So it's not extremely difficult to build your own sections if that's the route you want to take. If it's not the route you want to take and you just want to edit what has already been built for you, again, you're just going to click in there, change properties around, you're going to change text, you're going to change things of that nature. So not only can I change properties on anything I select, but everything I select, I also can add actions to. So somebody clicks on a button, I can add an action to bring them to a certain page. Or if somebody clicks on an image, I can add an action. If somebody were to, let's say, what would be a good option here? You get my meaning. So actions can be applied to pretty much any element if a user clicks on it, okay? With buttons, you even have additional actions, and that could be shown here. I'll show you that. One of the actions you see here is called a non-hover. So if you actually select a different color here and a user hovers over that button, it changes color, right? You also have layout options for everything. So if I select a section and I go to layout, again, I can increase the width of that section. I can increase the height of that section. I can center that section. I can change the bordering, the padding, the margin, and you can do that with any element, right? Layout, add border, add padding, add margin. And then the last tab that you see here goes along with those parallax effects. This actually allows you to add effects to certain elements. So if you do want to add things like, let's say a fade in or scale up, when the user comes into the page, it can automatically do that for you. You can also add scrolling effects here. So there are custom effects that you can create, or there are things like fade in, scale out, slide in from the right. And we can actually demo those here for you. So as I'm scrolling, see how that text moves? So you can do the same thing. Now, I wouldn't go overboard with scrolling effects. Scrolling effects are really great to call out certain elements on your site, like buttons for discounts or new courses that are launching. But if you have too many things flying around your site, it gets very difficult for a user to concentrate. So keep that in mind, but scrolling effects can be added to anything. You can even customize your own effects to moves at certain length and in certain areas when the user scrolls to a certain point in the page. So things can be customized there if you want to truly customize that. So that's pretty much how the editor itself works. One of my recommendations for most of my customers is when you first get started in this editor, create a draft page, just a blank draft page, add a couple sections in there and just populate those with columns and widgets. And then click on each of the widgets that you've placed in there and check out the properties for those widgets. Play around with them, see what you can do. Learn what you can do with text, learn what you can do with buttons, learn what you can do with sections and columns. There's a lot of different things that you can modify. So if you just create a little kind of sandbox in your school where you can play around with it, once you learn all those properties for those different widgets, you are going to have no problem building a website that just looks absolutely stunning. Okay, because you'll be able to change the colors of your text. You'll be able to add borders. You'll be able to add, scrolling effects to the backgrounds of your sections, nice videos, things of that nature. So that's usually my recommendation for anyone that is new. Try to just kind of play around with the widgets and understand the properties. And once you have that down, it's not very hard to use. Now, speaking of properties, one of the properties that can be changed in your school are the properties of the page that you're currently viewing. So currently we're looking at my home page, right? If I come up here to the upper left-hand corner, there are options for me to modify the page properties. So let's click on that for a second and just take a look at this. So the page properties consist of things like status. So is it draft mode or is it published? Right. You also have the ability to change the name of the page. So if you don't want to call it home, maybe you want to call it start, you can change the name of that page so that when it displays in your page manager, you know exactly what you're talking about. You can also modify and copy your URL for this page. So if you do want to share this URL with somebody outside of the school, you can copy that here. And you can group the page from here. So if you want to make it easier to find in your page manager, you can add your groups here. The next area that you see here is extremely important for anyone that is publicly facing and you want to be found in those search engines, right? Like Google and Yahoo and Bing and all those other ones. And remember Ask Jeeves? I think I just aged myself. But those particular search engines, right? They require some type of SEO work. So all the pages that you create in your school, you can modify the properties here and you can add SEO work into all of your pages. So you can add titles, you can add descriptions, you can add images, you can even add the keywords, the all important keywords, right? This is what is going to help you get higher up in those Google searches. I recommend to everyone on this webinar, as you are building out your website, that you add your SEO work to all of the pages that you design and develop, okay? If you want to be hidden from the search engines, you also have the ability to exclude your sitemap. Okay, so that will stop you search engines from crawling your site. Top bar and footer. I mentioned the common top bar and the common footer being the same on all the pages you design. If for some reason you're creating a very special page and you don't want to have the same top bar on that page as every other page in your school, you do have the ability to select a custom top bar option. Same thing with your footer. This will allow you to add different navigation points and designs and pieces like that into those pages without affecting your common top bar. So if you do want to have a landing page that maybe doesn't even have a top bar, you can turn that off. Or you do want to have a special French page that you've designed in your school that has everything in the navigation bar up top in French. You can do stuff like that, okay? So I recommend, again, SEO for all of your pages. If you need to, access the page properties for the page that you're viewing, you just come up here to the upper left-hand corner, click there, and you'll have access to your SEO and your top bar settings, okay? Speaking of languages, I know I mentioned French, right? You can also modify your site language from here. So if you do have system language that exists on the platform that you can't just click on and change, this does allow you to actually come up here and modify that over here. So whatever you place on the right is what will actually be displayed when the system says phone. So if you have, maybe you're setting this up in French, for instance. So that is one way to modify the language. By the way, there's another option for this. We bounce out of the editor here for a second. In your school settings called site language, the same kind of thing here. That will allow you to actually load in different languages as well. Now we jump back into that editor. What I do want to show you as well is this little area that you see here called Site, okay? This menu affects the entire site. So this menu over here affects your page. This menu over here affects the site as a whole. This is what I want to point out. Site navigation. This is extremely important. So site navigation allows you to control the flow of your school. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Well, when a user types in your domain name, they land on your homepage. But what's your homepage? It's either going to be the default homepage that we've assigned your school and you've changed and modified, or it could be another page that you've designed within your school. So maybe you've created another page that you prefer to be your homepage. You can actually select that here. So you can actually choose that other page to be the homepage. Where this might come in handy is if when you are building your school out, if you want to create like an under construction page so that and make that your homepage so that when users visit your site, they land on an under construction page with no top bar and no footer, right? Maybe collect some additional information from the user, that sort of a thing. You could create that page, select it here, and then when you're done and ready to launch, you just go ahead and select your homepage again, okay? The start page or the after login page is the second most important page in your school. So what is it? The after login page is actually the page that any user that registers to your school or signs up to your school or signs into your school, anyone that does that is going to land on your after login page. Okay, there's a default one in here, just like the homepage that is designed using the template that you selected. However, I work with some schools that only offer one course. And because they only offer one course, they want users to land on that course page. So that is also an option for you. You can pick a course in your school and users will land directly on that course page once they sign into your platform. You can also select another page in your school, just like you could up here. So you can actually go and select another page that's been created in your school to operate as your after login page. Maybe you just want to send users directly to your courses page. Again, that is an option for you. But this last option, this is my favorite option. So our system, our platform, I should say, uses a system called tagging. And tags can be added to your users as identifiers. So as an example, you might be working with multiple corporations. And all the users from those specific corporations, you have placed a tag in user management on that particular user that says ABC Corporation or Microsoft or Coca-Cola. And what those tags will allow you to do here under site navigation is actually control what after login page those users will land on. So if you're working with multiple corporations and you have those users tagged in your system, when that user logs in, they are going to land on the page that you designate. So you can actually have branded landing pages for all of your customers. So as an example, ABC Corp will automatically land on my About page, where somebody from employee might land on my after login page, right? So you have options. You can actually control where these users are going to land based on tags that they have. Extremely powerful stuff. You can also set up your payment flow from here, by the way. So if you want users to make purchase or register before they purchase, you can set that here. Or maybe you want users to register and purchase at the same time. That can be set up. And then lastly, non-paying users, right? Some sites want to lock out non-paying users from even browsing the site. So you can actually set that up and you can send those non-paying users to other pages in your school. Like maybe you have like a must-buy page, right? Kind of a thing. So those are your site settings. You also have the custom code area here as well. So if you do want to do your custom coding, this is where you can add that page code and site code into. And then before we jump out of the editor and before we kind of wrap this thing up, I do want to show one other thing. Now, you notice we had our pages over here at the top, so you can easily find all the different pages you have, right? We also have three other options here. The first option you see here is funnels. Funnels allow us to actually create sales funnels within the site. So it allows us to basically group a number of pages together that kind of work in unison. So I can have an initial page that will tell users, hey, grab this special offer. And when they click on that button, it will go to the next page, which will give them a discount code and give them an area where they can buy that course right off using that discount code. And then, of course, we have a little thank you page here, right? So you can actually create additional steps within a funnel. Creating a funnel is just as easy as creating a new page. We're just going to click the little plus button here. Again, we have templates created already that you can utilize for funnels so that you can simply create some really nice sales funnels, either using the templates that we've provided or building them on your own. Now, the other option you see here is pop-ups. You can build pop-ups in our system. But, like they say in Spider-Man, great power comes great responsibility. Be careful with pop-ups. Don't overuse pop-ups. Pop-ups are great for not just promotional reasons, but for notifications in the system, for creating menus that seem like they just kind of pop out of the screen. You can utilize pop-ups for that. And so just like the page builder, we can create pop-ups and we have templates to pick from. Things for promotions, for exit intents, for welcoming users that are joining the platform for the first time, for having a video pop-up. You can have a really nice video pop-up when your users join the platform and sign into that after login page for the first time. And it can be an orientation video to walk them through your system and to tell them where to find everything. All right. We can also create little menus and things of that nature. So really what we're doing, we can even, by the way, you can even create your own if you want. Just do a kind of build your own. And you can see I can configure this just like the page builder. I can add text in here. I can add widgets like images and forms and illustrations, right? I have my property menu over here, works just the same. So you can actually create these really nice pop-ups with forms, right? Because I showed you can actually embed forms. Let's just do that now. We'll embed a nice little form in this pop-up. Right, so I can build a nice little pop-up here with a form, collect certain information. Now, pop-ups also allow us to do a couple other things. We have the ability with a pop-up to choose, where these are going to display on the site. We can choose the audience, right? It doesn't have to appear to everybody. It can appear to users who are logged in or logged out. You can target tagged users. Again, just like that after login page, if I want to target users that are part of the ABC company, I can create a pop-up that will target those users specifically. I can also choose where this is going to show on my site. So I can even pick specific pages like the after login page, when to show, right? On exit intent, on page scroll, after a certain amount of load time. I can add rules like repeat every, show only once, automatically close after 60 seconds. Backdrops can be turned on and off. So you can configure these really nice pop-ups and you can collect analytics on these. How long are people viewing them? Are they clicking through? Are they reaching the goal? Are they converting users? Are they working? Should I close this pop-up? Should I get rid of it? Should I create one that looks just like it? Right? So another little addition to the platform here. And then lastly, if you are hosting blogs, you have the ability to actually edit blogs in here as well. So you get a blog homepage that you can change and modify and just like the page editor. And then you can display your blogs in here and create blogs just like you do with your pages. So you can either use a template or build from scratch, and you can build out a whole blog. Now, blogs are great because it gives your users a lot more information, but you can also add SEO work to all your blogs, which includes more pages in your school with certain keywords, which helps you get higher up in those search engine searches. So that is all that we are really going to be covering today for the site builder. You can see it's very robust. It's not super difficult to use. It's quite intuitive. I still recommend everyone to kind of click on all the different widgets that you can add and to check out all the different properties that can be modified. Because again, I feel like once you have that down, you can easily build out pages the way that you want to build them out. I will mention before we do kind of bump out of this, if there are any questions that our support team did not get to today, they will go ahead and follow up after the webinar today with your answers. You'll make sure that you get your answers. You can also ask any additional questions that you might think of outside of today's webinar to our support team. You can email support@learnworlds.com. If you are looking for more information on how to use the site builder, and the webinar just didn't provide everything that you needed, if you go into our help center, which is in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there is the LearnWorlds Academy. There is a course in here. This is free to enroll in, by the way. You just sign up with a username and email. There is a course in here on how to build a website. So I recommend you take a look at that as well. Even if you felt like this was enough and that you learned enough from this, this is self-paced, so you can jump in there and cherry pick the information that you need, but that is available to you. And by the way, from anywhere on the website, especially in the site builder, you will see this little ask for help button in the lower right-hand corner. If you click on that, that will allow you to search for specific topics. So if you do get stumped or you have additional questions, you can always type in here a keyword, maybe something like image size, right? And all the articles that are related to image size and using images on the platform will be listed out here for you. So it does make it really easy for you to find the information that you need. I do want to just say that we are also going to add a poll, another poll at the end of this webinar, just to see if we can collect some additional information and get some feedback on today's presentation. I would really appreciate if you filled that out. Thank you for attending. I know sitting through an hour sometimes can be pretty difficult, so I do appreciate you attending and joining me in this. And I hope to see you in some future webinars, and I hope to see you as a customer as part of my, my role here as a customer success manager. And you all have a great day or a great night, depending on where you are in the world. Thanks.